This is a big deal for Star Citizen, a moment that players have been waiting for since last year. Patch 3.23 then introduces wild animals, including animal hunting, a new map system, personal and instanced hangars, and much more. Two features that I want to focus on in this video are the new Master Mode system, which dramatically overhauls the game's flight mechanics, and the new Camera Boost mode, which vastly improves eye and head tracking with the Tobii Eye Tracker 5. And my thanks, by the way, to the sponsor of this video, Tobii, who currently have a 15% discount on the Eye Tracker 5. You can get that discount by checking out the link in the video description below. Do take a look. And when it comes to the Tobii Eye Trackers, I've been using them for a very long time, all the way back to 2016 in fact. You'll also be able to find videos going back that far from me. The Tobii Eye Tracker 5 specifically I do use a lot. I use it with space sims, flight sims, and of course with Star Citizen. And this primarily, well, for two reasons really, because of the sheer level of immersion that it actually brings to the game, and also because of the, improved situational awareness. This is very handy in many respects, not just for combat, but also for exploration. So Star Citizen continues to be a beautiful looking game, and I don't think anyone could reasonably deny that. The environments, both in space, but especially on planetary surfaces, are absolutely gorgeous. And it's always been something that I find very appealing about the game. There's something about that which adds to the appeal of doing even basic missions such as deliveries. Just a random thought there. Anyway, Master Modes. This is actually a pretty big deal for Star Citizen, as it dramatically changes the way we interact with our ships and thus the game. It's also one of the biggest flight changes that have been made to the game for quite a long time. Naturally, that has made it somewhat of a controversial mode among parts of the community, and the reasons for that will become a bit clearer as we move through the video. Now, the footage you're watching, by the way, was captured on Star Citizen's test server. It was played on a very recent build, which is extremely close to the release candidate version that is now available on the live servers. So in regards to the feedback that's been coming in from the Master Modes, CIG have said they're listening to the feedback and insisted that the current version of Master Modes won't be the final version. It's an iterative process that will be tweaked and improved over time. Right, here's what it's all about. Spaceships will now have two modes of flight: standard control mode and navigation mode. There's a few very key differences between these two modes of flight. The overall impact of these changes will fundamentally change ship-to-ship combat in Star Citizen in a very big way, and that is primarily due to the fact that combat is only available in standard control mode, otherwise known as SCM. SCM places some significant speed restrictions on ships, slowing them down substantially from their maximum velocities, and this is obviously going to have a huge impact on the speed of combat in turn. Now, on the positive side, some players feel that this will lower the skill floor to make combat more accessible to new players, whilst still maintaining a high skill ceiling for mastery. And CIG say that the slower, more positional style of close combat range dogfighting is an intended vision for their space combat gameplay. However, that said, there's also some concerns and skepticism from parts of the community. Some worry that the skill gap between elite and average pilots may get compressed too much. And there's also the questions about how disengaging from combat will actually work, especially in atmospheric environments with severe speed limits. Switching to nav mode, meanwhile, allows you to reach much higher speeds. However, nav mode deactivates both shields and weapons. With shields down then, it would make ships very vulnerable if attacked. So yes, this will definitely change how people try to disengage from combat, and may even make doing so more of a challenge. Drilling down a bit more into the details, Master Modes is about far more than just two distinct modes, because each of these modes has three sub-modes, and let's talk about each of those. Standard Control Mode has SCM Guns, SCM Missile, and SCM Scan. Each of these is pretty much self-explanatory. The Guns modes allows you to use guns only, Missile Mode to use missiles, and the Scan Mode allows you to use the ship's scanners. Whilst in SCM, shields and weapons are both active, however your speed is limited, and this limitation will depend upon your ship, but generally speaking is between 200 to 300 meters per second. You can also use boost whilst in this mode to temporarily increase your speeds. Additionally, quantum travel is unavailable when in SCM, which means you won't be able to make jumps to other planets or any other locations at significant distances. Generally speaking then, for any and all local activities, whether it be mining, scanning, combat, or indeed anything else, SCM is the mode you'll want to be in. Nav mode, on the other hand, is an entirely different kettle of fish. For starters, when in Nav mode, both your shields and weapons deactivate and cannot be reactivated unless you switch back to SCM. And incidentally here, when you do switch back to SCM, the shields will activate very, very fast, so at least there's that. Now Nav also has 3 sub-modes: quantum mode, scan mode, and flight mode. Whichever mode you're in, you will be able to use your ship's maximum speed. Now, quantum mode brings some pretty big changes to quantum travel. As soon as you switch to quantum mode, it will spool up your ship's quantum drive, and this will then permanently stay active all the time you're in this mode, even after making a jump. Additionally, all targets that you can travel to will appear on your HUD as icons. Simply orientate your ship so that it is facing one of these targets. Your quantum drive will then calibrate towards that target, and then all you have to do is hold down the left mouse button and you will be well on your way. Scan mode, meanwhile, allows you to scan whilst in nav mode. Flight mode is all about flying around, although to use it your quantum drive would first need to be fully spooled, or at least that's my understanding of that. Now generally, improvements and ease of use then seem to be the prime focus for patch 3.23, which in many respects is a very large quality of life update all round. We can see that in areas such as the improved inventory management and the vastly improved maps. Head tracking with the Tobii eye tracker has also taken a big leap forward with the introduction of the camera boost system. The goal here is to make head tracking feel more natural, and this is achieved by making a very clever use of Tobii's eye tracking capabilities. At this point, I've used both head tracking and eye tracking systems for years. In fact, I've been making videos with Tobii's eye trackers all the way back to 2016. Head tracking just makes things far more immersive. Yet sometimes the motion of camera movement can take a bit of getting used to, and that's when you're turning your head or using your gaze to move the camera, and largely because head tracking and eye tracking often work independently of each other. The new camera boost mode then aims to completely change this, and it actually works very well, and I'm going to demonstrate exactly how this works. So on screen now you can see what I'm looking at. This is using Tobii's Ghost system, which places an overlay on the screen allowing you to see where I'm actually looking. So then, Star Citizen's new camera boost feature takes into account what you're actually looking at with your eyes whilst you're making head movements, and this overall makes head tracking feel way more natural. For example, if I look towards the left of the screen and then turn my head right, you can see the camera turns to the right. However, it never goes quite so far as to make the object I'm looking at go out of frame. In other words, the camera boost system is taking what I look at into account when moving the camera. The camera moves smoothly, and what I'm looking at somewhat restricts how far the camera will actually rotate. It's an intelligent system that just makes everything feel way more natural, and I think that probably speaks for itself. Now on the other hand, if I'm to look to the right and also move my head to the right, the game understands that I'm actually trying to see much further to the right. Therefore, the camera rotates much faster. And not only that, if I keep my eyes looking to the right, the camera actually has a greater degree of motion. Notice how now the camera isn't restricted, but actually very quickly looks over my right shoulder. I think it's self-explanatory what the camera boost feature then will do for situational awareness in the game. And not only that, it adds immensely to the immersion. The same tracking method works regardless of whether you're in your ship, walking around, or simply sitting down and chilling out. And a few of you may have concerns or questions about the Eye Tracker 5 itself, specifically in regards to how it can be used, what sort of conditions it can be used in, and whether or not it works with glasses and contact lenses. Well, as many of you will know, I do wear glasses myself and have never had any problems whatsoever with it. It works perfectly fine with those. And in terms of the lighting in the room, you can sit in darkness and it will work perfectly fine, and it will also work with quite a bit of light. I sit in front of my computer's actually positioned in front of a window, and the sun comes through there, and that doesn't interfere with it either. So it's very robust and works in a whole variety of different conditions. So over the past few weeks then, I've been testing out the 3.23 patch in a variety of gameplay scenarios. Personally, I do like master modes, and I realise that will make a bit of a controversial statement. But that said, one of my main concerns is that it might make it a little too easy for players to force others into PvP combat, with little chance for the target to actually escape. I'm not at all a fan of that type of gameplay, far from it in fact. Ultimately, only time will tell how well this actually works out. Meanwhile, I do like the changes to quantum travel, and these are long overdue. Whilst there are still no news on when we can expect to see full new quantum boost modes, it actually sounds like that might be quite a way off still. These new quantum travel changes really are a very good start, and they dramatically improve travelling around in space. There's a load of other features that are well worth looking at, and I'm sure people are going to get to grips with them as they explore the patch on the live server. The camera boost system, meanwhile, is a great addition, and when it comes to sims of any type, I actively dislike using them without at least some form of head tracking, and in my experience, Tobii's eye trackers always deliver. The fact that with 3.23 the head tracking motion now feels far more natural is indeed a brilliant change. For more information then on all of this, do check out the link in the video description, and my thanks again to Tobii for sponsoring this video.